for this season of thanks. We thank you for this day that you have allowed us to see and even have allowed us to come to the close of another one. And for this season of thanks, we give you thanks for not only ourselves, but for our family and for our friends, for our neighbors, for our community, for our commissioners. We pray now for peace in the world, as well as peace in our communities. Pray, Heavenly Father, that you will go before us as a leading lamp, guide and direct our path, and all those things that we stand in need of individually and collectively, because you are a sustainer and you are a giver and a provider. We pray that you will supply all of our needs. Bless now these commissioners as they render of their unselfish service, and bless this community, the issues that must be attended to this evening. We pray that your presence will go before us all. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Normally we would have public comments, but at this time we want to announce that we do have a new county manager. Her name is C. Renee Perry. She's seated with us tonight. This is her first night after being sworn in. She was sworn in on November the 1st at a special call meeting. So she has now taken her place as county manager of Vance County. Ms. C. Renee Perry, she yields from Halifax County, where she assisted to the county manager there. She has extensive experience in county government. Prior to going to Halifax County, she did serve for an extensive time in Greensboro and their county government as well. So I want to introduce Ms. C. Renee Perry. Would you care to say a few words?
Good evening, everyone. As Chair Feemster said, I am Renee Perry, and I am actually from Rocky Mount, North Carolina, Edgecombe County. I like to always say that, Edgecombe County. And I'm happy to be here with Vance County. These past 4 days have been wonderful. So I'm just looking forward to getting to work. And thank you all so much.
Okay, thank you. Next on our agenda, we will have public comments. We had a sign-up sheet. Each speaker is limited to 5 minutes. And each speaker must be a Vance County resident or property owner. So first on our list of speakers is Jonathan Edwards.
So, I would like to propose to build a LED billboard along US 1. I have a business there and own other property. I met with the planning department about this, and a few of the things that I wanted to do was outside of the ordinance. He mentioned that the ordinance was, it's been a long time since it's been updated. It was quite out of date. We see these signs occurring along Franklin County, the Youngsville, Wake Forest area. I've printed a few copies of a little bit of material that you guys can look through. I only have 5 copies. Can I bring them to you?
Yes, you can. Well, give it to our county clerk.
Okay.
Okay, as far as this ordinance for the outdoor advertising is concerned, I would recommend that, since you do have limited time today, that you speak to our county manager and she could assist you further with that. And make sure that we have all the pertinent information, as well as our county clerk, if you have any other information that you want to pass out.
No, like I said, I met with the other planning director and he told me the things that what I proposed to do wasn't in accordance with the old ordinance. What would have to be either issued through a special use permit or would have to be changed when an updated ordinance was brought to. So, I have a list of those things, but I guess I can just get the new county manager's information and we can review that. Sure.
Okay, we do understand what you're asking for in terms of a change in the ordinance, and I know that is something the county commissioners will do, but just give us a chance to really look it over. Again, the information is passed to our county manager, so she would review it, and then she would give us any additional information we need in order to make our decision in terms of whether or not we want to amend the ordinance or how do we want to go forward with it.
All right, thank you.
Okay, next on our list is Megan Cottrell. And she's here to discuss VCA as county truck discussion, according to what's written on here.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Good evening. I'm the lead officer for Vance County Animal Services. This is the rest of the team. It was brought to our attention that there's a possibility in changing the vehicle use policy. And we just kind of wanted to let y'all know that we're not like everybody else. We're not like the rest of the counties that surround us. We run a lot more calls overnight, whereas we all run a on-call schedule. And so we're all on call at some point during the month, every single month. And every night there's at least one call that we're running. And sometimes you can start off with one call, but by the time you have 3 stacked on you, and there's multiple times when it comes to, we need more than one person on at a time. So whoever's on call ends up calling for backup. So us having our county vehicles at home is very useful to us. Not to mention, not only at nighttime, but during the morning times, a lot of our problems are, multiple of our morning calls are dogs attacking or chasing children at bus stops. And if I get a 911 call, say I'm not on call, say Officer Crabtree's on call and she gets a 911 call for the other end of the county, she's still coming in from work. But if I'm closer, but I have to go all the way to the shelter, unlock the gate, get my work truck, then go, that child could be dead. And it's to the point where we have more responsibility in Vance County where we need our trucks with us at night, because we've not only with the children in the morning time, but we've had multiple incidents where we were going home and the on-call officer was again on the other side of the county going to their residence. And we had a person just recently, an elderly lady, get mauled. And luckily she was a mile away from one of the other officers. No, he was not on call, but he took the liberty because he heard the call come over the radio, all because he was able to drive that vehicle home and was able to save that woman's life because she was currently being mauled by 2 dogs. We just really want to stress the fact that it's not just a joy thing. It's not just us using the county gas to go home and back and forth. It's not that. It's public safety. It's something that we actually really need. And we just want to really stress that fact that it's something that we could really use and would not like for the policy to change.
So do all of you all take trucks?
Yes,
All of you? Okay.
yes, ma'am. We do.
How many is on duty at night?
At nighttime, after 4:30, one officer is technically on call until 8 a.m. the next morning. And then on Sundays, so we work every other Saturday, but if not, they're on call all day Saturday, all day Sunday. We run a 7-day rotation. So I'm on call 7 days and it rotates to Officer Vic. He's on for 7 days and it rotates to Officer Saunders and then Officer Crabtree.
And we have the city and the county after 4:30.
After 4:30, it's one person, we have the whole county. So it could take me 5 minutes to get to a call. It could take me 25 minutes if I've got to go all the way to Townsville Landing Road.
Do all of you all live in the county?
Yes, ma'am. Well, I live just less than 4 miles outside of the county. Yes, ma'am.
Did anyone else?
Did y'all want to say anything?
The elderly lady that she mentioned that got attacked by those 2 dogs. This is also this may sound a little personal, but that woman is my half-brother's stepmother. And if she was here, I would go ahead and tell you, I do have her blessing to tell you this. She has also stated that she is very much in favor of us having to take on vehicles, because if that would not have happened, I can assure you that that lady would have been just about killed. She was ate up from her fingernails to her shoulders by her own 2 dogs. I can assure you that this benefited her in a very wonderful way. And I took it upon myself to go to the hospital, not on a county vehicle, and assure her and reassure her of everything that Officer Vic and Crabtree had already told her. So it really does need to be kept the way it is.
How many of y'all was on that call?
Hmm?
How many of y'all assisted that one call?
Two. Yeah, the two of them, and then he went up there on his personal.
Yeah, I heard it come across the radio.
I was the officer on call and I was 15 minutes away. So he heard it and responded and got there within 5 minutes.
I was on the way home, heard it come across the radio. I radioed to Central that I had it. I was less than a mile from her. And when I got there, I had to make forced entry into her house and literally pulled two dogs off of her. And it was, not trying to sound gruesome, but it was blood everywhere that they had mauled this way.
And not to mention, another thing is, it's fire season. I hate to say that, I hate to put that out, bad juju out there, but people are running heaters. And I myself, I don't know if y'all all seen our trucks, but I myself had the larger box. So we've had multiple cases where we've had houses catch on fire. Officer Saunders had 13 cats in there. Officer Vick had 9 dogs inside the house. Sorry, you want me to stop?
Would two cars help to start off?
With what?
Two vehicles? No comment.
Ma'am, this is the public comment, section. I will say that, the Public Safety Committee has been reviewing this. It was initially set for tonight. However, we, after meeting with our county manager and having a discussion between myself, the co-chair and the county manager, we decided to put, the issue off until December the 6th. So we have not made a definite presentation of that yet. So if you have any further concerns, I would recommend that you do consult the county manager as well about whatever concerns you have so that she can relay it to the Public Safety Committee so they can take it under consideration as well.
Thank you.
Well, I appreciate you all coming.
Yeah.
And thank you for the input. Next, we will have Frankie Nobles, who's with the Employee Engagement Team, to present the Employee of the Month.
But I am on the employee engagement team. And the Employee of the Month, this month happens to be my coworker, Ann Hudson. So I wanted to present it to her. She will come down. Just a little bit about Miss Ann. I am so pleased and honored to be able to do this month. Ann came to work for me in November of 2019. So coming up on a couple of weeks here, she'll celebrate her 4th work anniversary here with us. She's very deserving of this award. She not only has a wonderful personality, but she gets along with everybody. And I don't know if, for those of you who work in HR, there are a lot of different behaviors among employees. We come in and no 2 days are the same. And every day Ann deals with employees on a very friendly basis. Even if she's having a bad day, they don't know it. She puts their needs above hers. And she has an exemplary work ethic. I can't say that enough about her. Her work ethic is outstanding. She doesn't complain. She just goes ahead and does what she needs to do, regardless of how that employee has approached her, whether it is a positive or a negative manner. She puts that aside and gets the job done. Even when it's a thing that HR can't resolve, she takes it upon herself to get that person to somebody who can help them. So she does go beyond in customer service, trying to make sure that employee is satisfied. So I am pleased to present this to her. This is your gift, and we're gonna go ahead and get a picture, and then this is the certificate that she gets to display in her office among her other many certificates.
Next on our agenda is Portia Brooks, our tax administrator.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
It's that time again. I have about 13 untimely applications tonight before you, and I'm gonna break them down according to their categories. I have 6 elderly exemption applications, The first one is Plummer and Carl Bullock, and then Izora Gooden, David and Lila Height, Elaine Hillard and Twan and Tina Fine, and Patty Lou Williams. And all these filed their applications after June 1st, but if they would have been filed before June 1st, they would have met the qualifications.
Go ahead and take them all at once.
Take them all, okay. Then I have 5 disabled veterans. That's Afiba Campbell, Horace Kennedy Jr., Vincent Jefferson, and Sarah Johnson, and Rodney Joyner. And then I have 1 religious, which is Middleburg Baptist Church, and 1 present use, which is Bessie Gill Ayers, which they are John and Linda Gill and Fred Gill. And all these would have met if they would have been turned in on time.
Madam Chair, I move we approve all untimely exemptions as presented.
Second.
A motion has been made by Commissioner Brummett that we accept all untimely exemptions. It's been seconded by Commissioner Fines. Does anyone have any discussion or questions? Okay,
Thank you.
vote all those in favor. Any opposition? By majority vote, ayes have it, so moved.
Thank you.
So approved. Next, we're gonna be hearing from Ryan Vincent with Vincent Valuations.
All right, good afternoon, good evening.
Good evening.
I don't have a presentation today. We are here to request the board adopt the schedule values. So we have done a presentation of the schedule values. We have then done a subsequent hearing per statute. And we are back today to request that the board adopts the schedule values. The next step after adoption is we have to post it in the newspaper for 4 consecutive weeks. And then the schedule of values will become officially adopted. We've been working on this reappraisal for the last few years now. We're coming down through the home stretch right now, you might say. We're reviewing values, we're finalizing values. We are working with the contracted mapping company called Atlas to work on a appeals application. So when folks get their notices in the mail, if they disagree, they can go online and they can file an appeal. That will also keep everything digital. There won't be any paper flying around the office. We will still accept paper applications, but we like to try to keep everything digital so we can monitor it and keep track of it. As we showed before in a previous presentation, we've been seeing some fairly substantial increases throughout the county. It's important to remember, and you'll hear me say this every time I come before the board or any public group. This is a 8-year reappraisal cycle. The last reappraisal here in Vance County was completed 8 years ago. So it's important for the citizens to know when they do receive that notice in the mail in late winter, early spring, and they do see a large increase in value in certain cases, that is over the course of 8 years. It's not over the course of 1 year. We plan to do public presentations to groups. I believe we already have a few of them scheduled. Again, if there's anyone here or anyone listening online that would like us to come speak to their organization about reappraisal, please reach out to Ms. Brooks and she can help set that up for us. We'll come give a short presentation, a long presentation, as long as somebody would like about reappraisal, the what we do, the how we do it, and the why we do it. So that's a little bit about where we're at, and that's what we're requesting the board, the action of the board this evening.
Okay, does Ms. Brooks have a list of those presentation sites that you currently have scheduled?
We can get that to you. We can
Okay,
get that to you. We don't have it here this evening, but we can get that to you.
so are they public or at this time private organizations that's requested?
They are private, they're private organizations currently, yep.
Okay, does any commissioners have any additional questions?
I just want to remind the public that the values will be assigned based on market conditions as of December 31st or January 1st.
Yes, sir.
24.
Yes, sir.
So the values specifically have not been determined. This is just a schedule of values. And then also there's the rate that would be our revenue neutral rate that would be published also to reflect an equal tax assessment.
Correct. Yeah, that's one thing is, should anybody choose to file an appeal, we don't know during the appeal period what the tax rate is going to be. The tax rate is set by the board and by the municipalities after the appeal period closes. That's across the state. That's statewide time rules written in the statute.
Does anyone have any further statements or
Yeah,
Is there any
I welcome any questions at all.
are there any motions?
Move for approval of the 2024 schedule of values.
Second.
Okay, motion has been made that we approve the 2024 tax reevaluation schedule of values. It's been properly seconded by Commissioner Faines. Any discussion? We are now ready to vote. All those in favor?
Right.
Any opposition? By unanimous votes, ayes have it, so we have voted now to adopt.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Next on our agenda, we'll be hearing from Via Health. Mr. Elliott Clark is here to give a presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Good evening.
Good evening. There it is. Thank you for this opportunity to come and speak. Tonight, myself, Elliott Clark, Community Relations with Via Health, and our Vice President of Network Operations, Donald Roos, have a presentation before you. In your packet, there has been a slight revision. Just wanted to call your attention to at the very last slide, but you'll see that illustrated in the presentation before you. This is in regard to our diversion center that we've been looking at and in development for right at a year. This particular facility is at 1735 Dabney Drive here in Henderson. And we'll navigate through this presentation together. Before you, you'll see some, yes. Got it.
Excuse me.
Oh. Hold on. We're good? All right. Thank you. Let me get it on slide view here. Sorry. No, my 15 minutes is ticking. All right. All right. So we'll look at some data that we have from Mariah Parham Health. This is for calendar year 22 that will set a little bit of context. I don't think that should come as too much of a surprise to this board. That talks a little bit about mental health capacity within their emergency department, what utilization has looked like. You can see in that year, typically around 4.5% to 5% is what their total admissions look like. That's really not what's the most alarming to us. What's alarming to us on the second slide is some of the numbers that indicate the complexity and the length of stay from our behavioral health patients that are awaiting placement. That could have otherwise been possibly diverted from the emergency department, more efficiently assessed and linked with treatment. That's what these facilities do. That's what their intention is. And that's what our goal is, to lift back up and to restore some capacity in the county. Just as a reminder, this particular center will serve not just Vance County, but Franklin and Granville as well. We want to make sure that we value Henderson as the centralized, not just geographically, but population-wise and need for this type of center. But we do have support that will be coming in from those neighboring counties to ensure that it's sustainable. And implementation of this center is really a part of a much bigger plan that's already been underway. We have instituted a new mobile crisis team that's been active since May. Just to give you some rough numbers around some of that utilization, that mobile crisis team, who actually has staff that physically live in Vance, Granville, and Franklin counties, have more than quadrupled the amount of services that were provided by the previous provider. That's been a huge benefit that we've seen so far in helping folks link more efficiently and respond in the community with our law enforcement and first responders. Some of the other elements of the continuum that we're continuing to address are through our open access clinics that remain open in all three of those counties. And then you see, obviously, the goal for our facility-based crisis center. I will hand it off to our Vice President, Donald Roos, that'll talk through a little bit more about the programming in this center, and then we'll talk about where we are in the process.
Yeah, thank you much. Thank you very much, and good evening. I just want to talk a little bit around what the center is and what we're hoping to do. I don't think it's no surprise to any of the commissioners, there's significant need in the community of people needing to access services. And right now we're trying to put together some pieces of a fragmented behavioral health system where people are struggling to figure out where they go when they need help. In most instances, if you're having a problem with addiction or a mental health crisis, you don't know where to go unless you are directed to the right place. And right now we have numerous providers across the system where they can be served, but not a really comprehensive crisis center. And so people right now are either directed into the emergency department or in crisis, or they get picked up and they end up through our judicial system, which is not where we want any of our individuals. We want to get them on the road to recovery, want to get access to the services they need. So what you see on the screen is a proposed facility that would be a one-stop shop in order to support individuals that are in crisis, as well as individuals that are just looking for ongoing, regular preventative supports. This facility will consist of multiple levels of care. The highest level of care will be a 24/7, 365 residential treatment facility, which will include 16 beds, also known as a facility-based crisis center. It would also include a behavioral health urgent care, which is just a fancy term in North Carolina for basically a behavioral health emergency room. So instead of having to go to your local hospital emergency room, this would be a designated facility, emergency room-like facility where people can be evaluated, supported, and actually get expedited into treatment services as opposed to languishing in hospitals and emergency rooms that we see now. So in the map there, you'll see the 16 beds in the orange facility, an open area, and then in the back there, you see the facility-based crisis or the behavioral urgent care crisis center. On the green in the back, you see an open area place for where we've created some room for law enforcement to drop people off. So it's discreet and it's on the side. So there's no visibility from the front where people would be, seeing law enforcement drop anybody off. They go around the back to be able to drop people off, pass them off to treatment services and allow the law enforcement officer to get back out on the streets where they need to be versus sitting in an emergency room or somewhere else watching somebody until they can get the supports that they need in the system. The rest of the space you'll see there is open office space where we'd also be doing recovery groups for mental health, substance abuse, and inviting community partners to come in and really share the space. And so we see it as just not a one provider space, it's really a hub where we'd be inviting groups to come into offering supports, not only for mental health and behavioral health, but also those social determinants of health that are critical for recovery. So such as food, housing insecurity, domestic violence, all of those services in order to make sure people are getting the right supports, they need to be successful in the community. Here on the screen, you'll be able to see that. I'm going to run through there, but this really lists out some of the services that we would expect to be in the facility when operational, if we're able to go forward. Just a quick review of the facility-based crisis center, just to kind of give you a good facility for it. 16 beds in total would be available there, mainly all for adults, male and female beds in current configuration. This is a basic floor plan that we put together for presentation. But if we decide to move forward, this would be a community conversation. So we'd be sitting down with community stakeholders, law enforcement, the local hospital system, talking about any design needs that we would want to modify or change in the facility to really make sure it meets the community's needs. Again, just some quick updates on the behavioral with urgent care, some of the things that are done there. I'll go through those real quick. And then walk-in clinic is really the core piece. You can not only support the crisis, but you also be able to have to prevent crises in your communities. And that's by providing timely access to care when people need it, because you don't always know you need services until you need them. And so having an open access walk-in clinic where somebody doesn't have to have an appointment, they can walk in, they can see a clinical therapist as well as a psychiatrist or a prescriber same day, get meds filled within the same day, really helps prevent a lot of those crises that you see across the system now. Talks about the open access clinic. It'll have a full clinical pharmacy within the program, peer living room model, which is really a drop-in type clinic where individuals can get peer support or wraparound supports within the system. And then again, we sort of broke this out in a stage component of, okay, if we were going to build out this facility, what would it look like? What would be some priorities? And so we threw some options together down here for you guys. But again, this is still a conversation we still want to have with you guys on what this looks like, how it can be beneficial to the community as we go forward. So we've proposed some stage options of how we could build into the county over time, not necessarily do all the work at once. That price tag always looks a little daunting when you look at it all at once. And so we broke it down in 3 stages, but that can be modified as well, depending on which components we would want to build into the facility. We have looked all over the county and there's not a lot of current space available in the county that you could modify in a cost-effective way to do this program. So this particular facility was the best option that we could find in the county at the right cost point in order to do something that was financially feasible. We look for the total upfit of the program at Dabney is roughly around $4.6 million. Again, these are estimates from an architect, and they were done several months back. And so, as you know, inflation's constantly going up in the community right now. We would still have to get bids for stuff. So again, the $4.6 million is the current estimate of that. We'd have to get ongoing bids to get some final figures on that, but that's the number that we're looking at right now to do the full modification and upfit of that facility. Once the facility is built and moving forward, then the ongoing operations would be funded through the county maintenance of effort dollars that Vance and Franklin, some of the other counties contribute, as well as dollars by Via Health to pay for operational costs of the facility once operational. Lastly, what we're looking for in this conversation is we're looking for a conversation around getting that particular site rezoned. Right now, it's not zoned for that hospital grade use. And so in order for us to move forward, that facility would need to be zoned differently. I'm not the zoning expert on that. You guys may have a little more expertise there, but we're looking for a conversation around the rezoning. So we can then take the next steps of going to the North Carolina Department of Human Services and see if they're interested in helping support through funding through the local recent budget bill. And she's seen passed by the General Assembly. They invested a lot of money in crisis behavioral health services in North Carolina. And so we would like to approach the department around taking this as a potential project for the department to help fund a component of this. And then as part of that, we're really looking for a commitment, not only by Vance County, but some of the other counties surrounding, that they're willing to support not only the facility, but some financial funding, because that always really makes a difference when we go to approach the department, if the county's really vested in moving forward in that type of programming. So those are really the 3 things that we're looking for today is some support in the rezoning, the commitment to the facility in some way, not any particular financial commitment today, other than a commitment to the conversation. So when we go to approach the state, that we can tell them that Vance County is supportive of this project. We'll open it up for questions.
Yes. You say you're a walk-in clinic. Is that 24/7?
The walk-in clinic will be usually 8 to 5, but the behavioral health urgent care will be 24/7, as well as the facility-based crisis center is 24/7. So the crisis components are all 24/7, but the general walk-in hours are usually a daytime office hours.
Okay, so you say you have only 16 beds, but you're gonna serve 3 counties.
Yes.
So what if one of the walk-in in that 24, in that urgent care need a bed? Where do they go from there if you have no room?
So if they come into the urgent care, there's 8 beds in the urgent care where somebody can stay up to 23 hours.
So what if you, at capacity, if you got 3 surrounding counties, because they can fill up in an hour?
They could be. The previous facility in this county was only a 10-bed facility, and it averaged about 6 to 7 beds full. Now, we know that that facility was not operating where it needed to be, and that was a challenge. But that facility never maxed its beds. Our goal is to make sure that we exceed that. So yes, there is a possibility we could exceed 16 beds and max the urgent care. That all becomes part of the connectivity of the crisis system. So if they get into urgent care and they can't get into one of those 16 beds, then we would look for another bed somewhere else in the region within the crisis continuum. It's like a hospital that only has so many inpatient beds. If they don't have a bed, they transfer them to another hospital. We would do the same thing. Right now in Vias Network, we have over 20 different facility-based crisis centers all over the state for beds, and we're able to know which ones of those facilities have open beds and transfer them across there. On any given day right now in our network, we have yet to have every one of our crisis centers 100% capacity filled.
You also stated that you all didn't look into the rezoning if you want to expand. So this place is being rented, right?
Right now, it's not being leased. No.
I'm talking the place that you house in this is being rented, a lease, and how it's not you don't own it.
Correct. That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So
yes, we
but
would
then
be
you want to
leasing it.
expand, but you don't know if it can be rezoned to put that much money into a building.
That's what we're exploring now with the community and the zoning team for the city on what's the process for getting that rezoned.
So what about the living quarters for the females and the males? Are they gonna be in the same location, one hall, different quarters?
Yeah, right now, those beds would be flexible beds where we could put females or males within the same facility.
And the 3 surrounding counties, are you gonna be asking for the same amount to take care of the facilities, the operational of the facilities?
Well, right now, we're looking for some startup funds to get the uplift done. Once the uplift's done, we'll be requesting that the counties commit a portion of their maintenance of effort dollars into that particular facility.
And I could briefly comment, as far as the maintenance of effort funding as it currently sits, all 3 of those counties do contribute. I think the total is $275,000 a year total. And it's fairly equitable amongst the 3 counties. Vance put some funding in some different places within the criminal justice system, the detention center with maintenance of effort. So it's actually a little bit less than Franklin and Granville, but it's still a substantial contribution every year. That's already budgeted.
Have y'all talked to the city manager? Because that will have to go through the city.
Yeah, as far as zoning, we did meet with the planning director, Corey, actually about a week and a half ago, talked through the process of where we are, had an initial conversation about, because he had already heard of this project and was taking a look at it, had a conversation with Police Chief Barrow, who has some questions, needs kind of a little bit more of a thorough run through of what the layout is, what access would look like, just to make sure before it would go in front of the council, if that's what's needed, that everybody is understanding and in agreement of what that would look like. So we're addressing those questions with Chief Barrow, and then we'll follow through the city's process around rezoning.
So when you had a conversation with Corey, what was his outlook on rezoning for these permits you're talking about?
His initial thought is that it would need to go through the planning board and board of adjustment and go through public hearings. Really, the first action item out of that conversation was to pull together with Chief Barrow and make sure that we answered his questions around the secured access points, the flow, because this particular location, I'm sure you guys it's directly beside Tractor Supply in a commercial district. So we'd have to be very sensitive in the way traffic flowed around to the side so that access could be safe and secure for those patients and for law enforcement.
So let me see how I say this. So y'all still have to wait on the city, you gotta wait on the planning department, which is Corey.
Yes, sir.
put all that together. So what is your time frame with putting all that together?
Yeah, well, and then we're right here in the middle of a potential new council, some positions changing over within the city. He estimated around 4 months, at least for that process to fully go through, if that's the way it needs to go through. And that would involve both that planning board recommendation and board of adjustment process and the city council itself actually voting on it, if that's the route.
We've had subsequent conversations with Terrell,
I have too.
and Terrell sees that it's a process that could be expedited in less time. According to the conversation I had with him.
Which we would love.
And we've also had conversation with a lot of the city council members who are supportive of the project.
Correct.
So in terms of the time frame, what's your time frame for completion of this project?
For completion of the entire build out.
If everything went well, are we a year away, 2 years away? That's where I'm trying to find out. How far are we down the road on this if everything went well?
We originally estimated with the architect after we drew up these plans that it would take about a year to construct.
1 year?
Correct.
Okay.
But once, I'll say it's a year, once we start construction, right? Like any project, it'll have to go out for bid. And
Right.
we'd have to go through a bidding process for some of that. So you're talking about probably more of an 18-month process from bidding to, awarding to construction.
My next question is, you saying this is a $4.6 million project?
Correct. That's the
Tell me
estimate.
how you intend to get, how much money from the state, and particularly how much money you want from each of these 3 counties to get this built? What's your estimate on what each county is going to put into this?
Well, let me preface this by noting the fact Via Health will be contributing 1.5 million of that 4.6. That's important to know. We are uncertain right now. The state has a $50 million budget for facility-based crisis projects across the state currently that's been allocated in the last budget. So I would say that we're expecting a sizable contribution from the state. We're not at a point now, we don't feel comfortable putting finite numbers on what we're requesting from each county. Apart from the fact that we'd like it to be equitable, both since it's located in Vance and serving Franklin and Granville, that those counties contribute together. We had originally taken a look back. I think you guys probably remember the sale of the old DSS building with the YMCA. The potential for some of that $1 million to be tapped into to support this project. We're not at a point right now where we're coming to Vance County and saying, we need $1 million from Vance County. But within that 4.6, really from where we are right now, we don't feel, I wouldn't want to put a number on the actual requested amount, especially considering the fact that it's an architectural estimate and not a contractor's estimate, that there's that bidding process, but really what we would be seeking now is just that this county is supportive of this type of project and will walk through the motions with us and has some financial funding to be able to support the project.
So one more push at this.
Yes, sir.
Okay. If you get a sizable contribution from the state.
Right.
And if Via puts up $1.4 million, right?
Yes.
And those are the 2 you mentioned in terms of big sums. What do you think each of these 3 counties has to put up? That's just $2.4 million. So what's your estimate on what the 3 counties have to put up?
I would think in total, we would be around 1.5, between the 3 counties. That's just an estimate. But that's not knowing what the state really has to offer us yet. And like I said, we really feel like and feel like the state's already indicated interest in this, that the state's budget support rural counties that don't have the current infrastructure and resources to lift it up themselves. There's similar projects going on in other areas of the state that are more populated counties. And counties fund those projects already. And we would expect that the state prioritize rural counties like Vance. I know that's a long answer to not give you the answer that you're looking for, but that's where we are right now.
Can I go a step further?
Yes, sir.
I was at a meeting with the Health Secretary of Health and Human Services on Friday, and to support what you're saying in terms of mental health issues in rural counties. There are monies, Granville Health Department just got $1 million to do something and everything. So that may be a source of funding and that may be a source of funding. But I wanted to go another direction. I realized that you all have done your homework in terms of Vance County. But I thought when Franklin Regional Hospital got started, that there was sufficient, that was one of the things they were going to deal with in terms of crisis for mental health. So what happened? What happened with Franklin? That's my first thing. What happened with Franklin Hospital? Because that's a large facility and it's my understanding it's not being used adequately and everything as of now and everything. And I would think they would have 16 beds that you could use if this is going to serve 4 counties that could meet your need and would already be upfitted. My second question to you is that John Emstead Hospital, you know, that huge facility up there, and I'm sure there is facilities there that's not being used. Did you explore that in terms of John Emstead, since we're serving Vance, Granville, and Franklin County, that could be upfitted with not as much cost as what you're talking about now?
Well, it's not a guarantee that it wouldn't be quite as much cost because that hospital wouldn't meet code as it stands today for this type of a facility. But let me answer your first question first. As far as Franklin is concerned, we partner very closely with Mariah Parham in both campuses, obviously. Their capacity is not necessarily for a behavioral health emergency service.
With the Lewisburg facility.
Correct. That capacity is for an inpatient hospital. And that I think they're at 34 beds. That's a different level of care. That's an inpatient admission, much longer length of stay. This would be more of a diversion from folks so that they can get linked to treatment without going through, if they're not appropriate, to be admitted to a hospital long-term. So they have good capacity. And I think they've gotten to a point where they're better staffed than they ever have been, frankly, both on their social work side and their inpatient providers, that their numbers are improving. But this would be a totally different level of care. This would be somebody that's not appropriate to go inpatient into a hospital.
But they don't have a wing at Franklin. They could do what you're talking about.
Oh, they have space. They have 2 floors in the hospital that are yet to be built out, that they still have some ideas around how to build that. One of which we've already partnered with them on an outpatient program. It's called Substance Abuse Intensive Outpatient Treatment. But that is a totally different program as well. We have not approached, and we've been looking at Vance as kind of a central area, township in this and city in this whole conversation, so that the populations from those counties can best be served. Franklin certainly is growing, and there's some capacity there, I think, but for a regional hub and to support the needs that are here in this county, we still feel like it's best suited for Vance County. Franklin
has more money than we have.
That's why we're asking Franklin for support as well, but I understand.
One thing, we've been working on this for a while, and there's several sources of funding at the state level. There's the department, which the VIA has been in touch with, and we've also spoken with our legislative delegation. The legislature has some pools of money that are in the budget that are additional pools of money, and from the conversations we've had for them, they're very supportive of what we're trying to do.
But I think the Fed has money too that would take the burden off the counties too, because they're trying to do things with rural communities in terms of moving it out so that can serve. That's what the Secretary of Human Health said on Friday and everything. So I don't want us to miss an opportunity to take some of the burden off of the county and be able to tap that source of, as you said, state, but also be able to tap federal funds also.
And we had that conversation. Ms. Perry is reaching out to our federal delegation.
Okay. Because the secretary on Friday indicated in terms of rural health that that's what they were moving, because they don't want to see local hospitals and services curtailed. I've got some cards to give you. I can give you and Ms. Johnson at the federal level also.
And I think all those factors are what we would need to be put in place before we approach the county with a finite amount, And again, what we're really looking for is just support and willingness to support this effort moving forward. Thank you for your questions.
What I like to say is we did have a meeting, myself, the vice chair, Mr. Brummett, and our new county manager. We had a meeting, sit-down meeting with Vi on Thursday, and we did exchange a lot of information, and we went more in depth in terms of the program, the facility. And I think just so the public will understand basically what we're talking about, because it can be, some people may not even realize, based on the conversation where it was going. What VIA is trying to do is open up a new center on Dabney Drive where Big Lots used to be. That center will replace what we used to have known as Recovery Innovations. As many of you know, Recovery Innovations did close. The contract was not renewed the earlier part of the year, so that facility closed. So with that, the closing of that facility, there's been a burden that has been put on a hospital. A lot of people with those particular issues have been taken to the emergency room. And as a result, a lot of the beds that would normally be reserved for patients with other health issues, those beds have been utilized by people suffering from mental health issues and substance abuse issues. There's been manpower that has been used from the police departments because they've had to sit with those patients in those facilities while they try to locate a bed. So basically, one of the things that we're looking at now is the need in Vance County for a center to replace what we had when we had Recovery Innovations. VIA has contracted with RHA, who will be one of the providers for the project. So I just wanted to give some of you all a background so you can understand what we've been talking about, because it can get sort of confusing. And just to break down so that, if the public at any time have any questions about, what we're proposing, what VIA is proposing, the commitment they're asking from us, then they can contact the county department and ask any further questions. And those questions, if we are not able to answer those questions, they'll be diverted to VIA so that they can provide additional information if necessary. But we want the community to know that the presentation is on our website. So after tonight, if you do want to go back and review the proposed plan, if you want to review the figures, those are available on our website and you can take a look. And we would appreciate any input that the community may have. As many of you know, there is an issue in all of the communities across the USA with drug use and mental health use, and making sure that those individuals who suffer from those conditions, illnesses, and diseases have sufficient amount of places where they can go to get treatment. So one of the questions was asked about Franklin County, and as Valia said, that they thought that Vance County would be a good place to locate the center as terms of a regional center. And I just wanted to remind you all that we did have at one time, we did have Recovery Innovations, so that VIA is looking to replace what we did lose when Recovery Innovations was closed down earlier this year. So if anyone else have any questions or discussions, that we did talk about what VIA would like for the county to contribute. However, we have not discussed it as a board at this time. But tonight, one of the things they did state to the county manager and Mr. Brummett and myself is they would like us to support their plan. As stated earlier, the lease has not been signed yet. They're still trying to work out zoning issues, but I think tonight they just want an idea whether or not we as a board would be willing to support having that type of facility here in Vance County, and want a commitment as to whether or not we will be willing to contribute funds to help with the upgrade. And just so for transparency reasons, so we're not trying to hide anything, and I don't believe VIA is, that they're not looking to build a facility. They are looking to potentially lease a facility. And that was one of the questions that Ms. Faines did ask earlier, what the plan was in terms of the building. So VIA is looking to rent a building and then uplift the building to make it suitable for the type of facility in which they are seeking to place here in Vance County.
Can I ask one more question based on what you just said? Where you are located other places, what has been the situation where you've gone in and done a facility? Give me an example where you've been, where you are.
So we've done this in multiple places across the state. We've renovated an old nursing home in Haywood County. We developed a full-blown comprehensive clinic in Buncombe County, right next to the hospital system. A few years back, we renovated a facility in Wilkes County, up in Wilkesboro. We've also renovated another facility in Buncombe for a child unit, very similar to this, but just for children. We're currently building a brand new facility in Alamance County. That
The one you build in Alamance County, who's building it?
well, a contractor's building it.
Well, I'm saying the county buyer.
The county is looking to step in and purchase that building once it is complete and operational. And that's, you know, roughly about $16 million. But they didn't have a suitable building in the community they could renovate. And they were looking for something, these buildings are best to be close to a hospital. So, you get some synergy where if somebody needs to be transferred to a hospital, that could be done quickly. And they had a prime location there, and they had a contractor that just happened to be working on a site. And so it worked out really well for them. And so that's a project currently they're working on. I actually met with their county commissioners just this morning to give them an update on that facility.
So I know you work closely with hospitals,
Yes.
and you must be aware of the fact that Mariah Perm just got a $5 million grant from the state.
We are aware.
They're going to use that $5 million in conjunction with the law enforcement people here to build a whole wing to handle mental health kinds of things. You're aware of that?
We are aware.
Yeah, I've been in close touch with Mariah Perham's leadership and got some very low level detail on what that entails. Most of that will be security upfitting. The additional capacity in Vance will just be 3 beds as far as additional beds. I'm sure you've already heard that, but yeah, we did meet and discuss. Mariah Perham is in very much support of this project. And does not feel like the efforts that will be made on that end will negatively impact the success of this facility.
One of the challenges with hospitals is they have a lot significant regulations. And so most hospitals have EMTALA rules and others. So once you step on the grounds of the hospital, it's really hard to get back off the grounds. You get admitted to the ED, you're having a crisis, they tend to get held there, right? So you get stuck in the ED for days and days on end while they're waiting for beds. Our goal is to really prevent people from having to get stuck through that hospital system and divert them to where they can actually start getting access to treatment sooner in that process. And so by doing this in a different facility outside of a hospital campus, you're not tied to those federal EMTALA regulations that hospitals have to abide by, which allows you to divert people into services quicker and wrap them in the community, because that's really the key, right? You can deal with the initial crisis of that individual, but it's what happens the next day and the next day and the next day and the next day that keeps them stable in the community. And so the key is to wrap them, deal with the crisis, and then make sure those wrap services follow them back out to their community so we can prevent future crises with that individual. And hospitals really struggle with that post-discharge work.
Does anyone else have any questions?
Just, Elliot, would you share a little bit about the plans for the existing facility that's currently in Vance County?
Correct. Yep. So we've been looking at that particular facility that will officially come available in January. We've already been in touch with a provider that we have a short-term plan and a long-term plan. This would obviously be the long-term plan and restoring the capacity that we really need. But we are looking at that particular facility for the short term, just to make sure we can restore some of the capacity that was here before, and then transition over into the larger facility and take a look at other programming that can go in that particular space when this project gets finished. So we are looking at a short-term plan and a long-term plan.
Which facility is he talking about?
The facility RI
This
was
would-
in?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, right.
This would be the current licensed facility. Yep.
Yeah.
Over on Parkview.
Okay, could you explain now how the mobile unit is working in conjunction with you all right now?
Yes, ma'am. Our mobile crisis unit. So RHA Health Services is the provider of that particular service as well. They have a team, I think, of 7 or 8 full-time staff that are covering the region. They've taken a very proactive approach, not just reactive from being dispatched. I really can't say enough positive feedback about that particular provider. I think very good presence in all of our community collaboratives so that it's not just numbers and talk, but they're getting feedback from law enforcement and people that are using that service. I think it's been a great success that's been in place since May. That was one of the things that VIA targeted very early on when we started working in Vance, is that mobile crisis needed to be reset. And I think it's been very successful. And that mobile crisis team would kind of just be one and essentially an extension of this facility.
So, so everybody understands, so even if we did have this facility, the mobile crisis unit still would be
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
operational, to work in conjunction with them. And could you explain what RH function would be in relation to this project?
So RHA is the provider that we've been in conversations with about operating the facility, and they operate a lot of the other facilities that are in the network that Donald mentioned earlier.
So basically, you are the LME that took the place of Cardinal, and RHA would be the operations agency that took the place of Recovery Innovations.
The provider, there's been a lot of discussions. There's a lot of potential. We would essentially, have to make a lot more headway before we're official about everything.
Okay.
But that is the provider that we've been in conversations with. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yes, no contract signed at all. So we do have several providers we've worked with to do that level of service. And so we would be talking to all of those and making sure we get the right fit for the county.
I realize that you're working with, you just presented a floor plan, but in doing this, is this going to look institutionalized, or is there anything to make it look so that it doesn't look like it's not going to look like what I think it's going to look like?
Yeah, no, absolutely not. And the one thing I would just encourage is that if you guys are interested in touring any of our facilities, I know Dan came down and visited our facility in Buncombe County a couple of years ago, saw what we did there. Be glad to tour the facility in Vance County that's under construction now if you're interested in seeing what that looks like. But it's really, Alamance, sorry. It's really, it looks to be really inviting, non-institutional. I
guess that's what I'm getting at. I don't want to look institutional.
We don't want to have our name on anything that looks institutional either. Yes.
Part of the process of putting it in a more public area is to get rid of the stigma of mental health. And so trying to present it in a marketable way like that is what the intent would be.
Yeah, the old area authority, I mean, we came from the offices, the VIA offices downtown. The old area authority building was right on Main Street, right? In the day here in Vance County. So
I don't have a problem moving forward. I'm not going to commit the money, right? But in terms of, I don't have a problem with seeing what we can do.
yeah, I think the important thing for us is when we go to the department, we just really want to be able to tell them that Vance County and other counties are highly supportive of that. They have lots of counties across North Carolina that's lobbying them to do different projects. And we want to make sure that they see that this project is what we would call shovel ready, right? They got to spend some of those dollars and get them out the door, and they're going to want to invest in projects that can be lifted fairly quickly and have good support in order to pull them off.
I do think one of the pluses that we've got a potential building that you can look to say in terms of upfit and everything. We wind up getting Mako because there was a building and they could go and upfit it and everything. So you're a step ahead of the game if you've got brick and mortar.
That's why we're really trying to lock down and try to get some commitments on that, because if we lose this building, we're back to square one.
Any further questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay, again, as I had explained myself to VIA, I did on Thursday when we met, I didn't think the board was in any position to give any kind of monetary support amount. However, they did emphasize they just wanted a commitment that they would have our support. I don't know at this point, whether or not the board is ready to go forward, but if so, then we would need a motion on the floor.
We're not asking for the amount. We're asking to continue to support people with mental health needs in our county with a facility that we've been lacking for years. This is something that has been in discussion since 2018. And it's something that is very important, I think, to the population that needs these services.
Mental health is very important, especially in our community where we live.
What?
Mental health is very important, Dad.
Correct.
You know, we all want to see people that need help get help. But before we can commit to anything, in my opinion, we need more concrete. We need to know that they got the building locked in. We need to know that these permits gonna pass. We need to know the zone is gonna change. You know, that's me.
All right. We've been working on this
I understand you've
process
been
and
working.
communicating
We keep working.
with officials for over a year. They've got drawings, they've done a lot of substantial work. And we're at the point that's got to sign a lease. When you sign a lease, you've got to know that you've got commitment. Now, we've spoken with the city enough that we feel comfortable with them to proceed forward with that. And so we're at the stage now that we're asking the county to support the project. And that's,
I'll make a motion that we support.
We've already agreed that VIA is going to be our person to support this county in mental health. We've already agreed to
Right.
that. So what more do we have to agree to at this point? Right now.
That we're
We're
gonna
already on board that we support VIA.
And we're gonna support this project. That's all we're asking for.
Say again?
We're asking that we're gonna support this project.
I'm saying we've already done that. We've already said VIA is our mental health people for this county. We did that a couple of months ago. When we chose VIA, you remember we had VIA here to give us a presentation, and who was the other?
That was about 2 years ago.
Yeah, and we said VIA is our choice. That means we have to support VIA because we don't have any other choice.
So you're saying.
That's all I'm saying to you. So
You
we
were
don't need to go any
you were
further
making
than
a
that.
I was gonna make a motion that we, as a board, we support their effort for them to explore the possibility of moving forward in terms of developing the plan. Like the chairman said, I'm not necessarily in terms of supporting financial and everything, but I think in order for you to have something to move forward, you need to, I think the commitment is there based on what Commissioner Taylor just said. The commitment is behind in terms of that you move forward, that you still need to work and get all the intricate parts laid out so that you can bring it back to us and everything. I don't think we're going, we're saying, I just make a motion that we support you in terms of your effort.
And we just want to be clear, that the financial support and collateral amongst the region and the state is going to be a reality, I think, for us to be able to move forward. And obviously, we appreciate the partnership with the county. VIA is going to be here, whether this project, goes through. But this particular project, we feel like has some real potential to pick up speed and to actually bring to fruition. We just need that support.
I've made the motion. If you don't get a second, it dies and everything. But at the same, I've made the motion that we've received, that we give you support and everything. Like I said, no financial support. I do think there are resources out there in terms of the state, because Vance Granville Health Department just got out across the United States. They only gave out 9 grants, and Granville got one of them. So I think the money and the resources there to reduce the burden on the 3 counties that's going to be involved. So I make that motion that we give you the support, even though, like what Chairman Taylor said, that you are our provider. But at the same time, we need to give you some walking papers so that you can move forward. I make that motion.
We're just looking for it when we make the statement to the secretary and the office that Vance is behind this project, that we're actually speaking for Vance County, and you guys are
Because I serve on another board that deals with mental health issues, the Legacy Board, and they're, what's going on right now do not meet their needs. There's a crisis.
So Leo, is your motion consistent with what Donald was just saying?
I'm confused. Yes,
Your motion is not a financial commitment.
it's not a financial
It's
commitment.
basically saying Vance County is supportive of this project, so when they go forward to the state,
They said
whoever-
you got our county support.
we've got our counties. Okay,
We don't support you. Who do we have? We've already agreed that you're it for us.
Well, I made the motion. Somebody second or die.
Second.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
5 minutes.
Thank you.
So the motion has been made that, the Vance County Board of Commissioners, agreed that, our agreement that we support your efforts to uplift and have a regional center here in Vance County, and that we would assist in whichever way we can without actually making a definite financial commitment.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
It's been seconded by Commissioner Austin. So any further discussion?
I just want to ask, will you all in the future have something for children, for young people, children?
Yes, ma'am. So this facility will have, especially in the walk-in center, outpatient services will be able to serve all age groups,
Okay.
all disability groups.
Any further question?
Also, the Secretary of Defense got that $1 million they got, well, through that program Thrive, we also deal with children also.
Close
So,
partnership with the health.
school system, got that.
Okay,
Sorry.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? By unanimous vote, it has been approved that Vance County will lend its support to your project, without making any financial commitments at this time. But to commit our, support in stating that we did choose VIA as our, LME, and because of that, we are, in a position at this time to give you whatever support we can to make sure you're successful here in Vance County
You got
in
it?
this project.
Okay, thank
Appreciate
you very
your time.
much. We really appreciate it.
Gonna open up the Water District Board. Our monthly operations report.
Catherine stepped away, but she's gonna do that report as soon as she gets back.
And we've opened up the Water District Board for our monthly operations report. Ms. Bigelow, do you have a statement you want to make at this time?
You can, in your packet, there's just your normal monthly. There's no changes from last month.
Okay. Does anyone else have any statements concerning the Water District Board?
Just a question and just an observation, active customers went from 1,886 in August to 1,867 in September. It appeared there were a number of shut-offs, but then there were a lot of recoveries. And I was just wondering, does this number just get caught in the dates? And so it's actually not that many people, not many customers lost. Is that what we're looking at there?
Yes, sir. And we're dealing with a lot of meters and rereads and things like that with running over meters and stuff like that. So it does fluctuate quite a bit.
Any questions other than those that have been stated already? Any further discussion? With no further questions or discussion, I'm now closing the Water District Board. Next, we have committee reports and recommendations. First, we'll hear from Public Safety, about Public Safety.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On the first Public Safety Committee, the first item was the EMS land acquisition. The committee attended on Monday, October 16th. They reviewed a matrix prepared by the staff to determine what the committee and the commissioners wanted and desired in a piece of property. The committee agreed that they would like the land to be in the Williamsburg area and directed staff to put the available lands into the matrix and continue to working on moving towards the purpose. The recommendation is below.
All right, thank you.
Madam Chair, I recommend the direct staff to continue seeking property or purchase for a Northern Vance County EMS substation.
Second.
Okay, motion has been made by Commissioner Faines. It's been seconded by Commissioner, Kelly. Any discussion? There being no discussion, time for vote. All those in favor? Any opposition? By unanimous vote, motion carries. Next, our vehicle use policy. We did meet this morning to discuss with the county manager some of the issues concerning this, and I believe there was a recommendation that the issue concerning the vehicle use policy be continued to our December meeting. So that so other issues can be resolved. And again, there was a statements made from animal control, concerning their position. So again, we want to look at that further. So we want to move that to our December the 6th agenda.
So I understand you're referring that back to the safety committee?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Okay, next on the agenda is our rural fire department's fund balance, disposal request, and fire tax. Our rural fire departments have asked for the balance to be given to them for the fund balance. If you read the agenda notes and any inquiries into the county offices about that, they are asking for all of the money. However, as you all recall, as the board, the funds were frozen until we can get the fire study report finalized. So does anyone have any statements at this time, discussion or motions?
Madam Chair, I believe no action is necessary because we're not changing anything. Right, Mr. Attorney?
So what, Dan?
I believe no action is necessary because we're not doing anything. Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, they're requesting their funds, that they get the funds now?
Yes, sir.
Do they need it?
No, sir.
They don't?
No, sir.
Why do they request it? They don't need it?
Why they need it? They know it's been a freeze.
They what?
They've received the funds. They've been allocated every year. And so what we did do was we looked at, within the state budget, there were some additional funds that were provided for fire departments. And we had Ms. Bigelow go through those and send those out to all the departments so that they could investigate if they were able to get some additional funding through those sources that are available. And the rest of it, we just wanted
But the funds that we give them help them carry out the operations, right?
We haven't frozen any funds for these departments.
There's no funds frozen.
Nothing's frozen for our volunteer department.
Okay,
It's the funding just like they've gotten every year.
so they're still being funded
They're
that,
still getting funded just like they were last year.
but they understand that, they request the fund, did they understand that?
I think they understand it because they're getting money every year, every
They
month.
understand it now?
I think we're on track.
Okay.
Okay, next we have uniforms.
This wasn't on the agenda. This was just a statement made by commissioners or part of the committee that if their departments were provided uniforms, they're expected to wear those uniforms on a regular basis. And it was just noted.
Is that currently policy? It is currently policy. Okay. So again, there's no change in policy, so no action is required. Thank you.
Well, there's supposed to be a motion on that fire tax thing, or y'all just moved on, or what?
We didn't take any action.
Taking action.
Huh?
We didn't
There was a
take any action.
recommendation, right?
Well, we didn't change anything, so we didn't.
Okay.
Okay, next on our agenda is our finance director's report. Ms. Bigelow.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The first one is the Education Lottery Fund application. This is an annual application. It's a joint filled by the county commissioners and the Board of Education. Must be submitted to the state in order for the drawdown to available for the North Carolina Education Lottery from the Public School Board funding capital. The county budgeted to use lottery funds to pay the debt service for the QSAB and the QSAB's bonds. The Board of Education approved this application on October 9th for the total of $384,775.96.
Madam Chair, I move we approve the applications, drawdown lottery funds to be used for debt service payments on existing school facilities debt.
Second.
A motion has been made. Any discussion? To have it been properly second, all those in favor? Any opposition? So by the unanimous vote, it is approved. Motion carries.
Thank you. After meeting all of our statutory requirements, the Franklin Vance Warren Head Start lease is ready to proceed with approving the lease agreement for the kitchen at the Eaton Johnson complex. We are excited and thankful for all the work that they do in the community and ask for your approval.
Madam Chair, I would recommend that we approve the lease amendment for Franklin Vance Warren Head Start Program.
Second. I second it.
The motion has been made by Commissioner Faines that we approve the lease amendment for Franklin Vance Warren Head Start Program. It's been properly seconded by Commissioner Austin. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? By unanimous vote, motion carries.
Okay, behind your packet, there is the minutes from our last, the bid opening. Frank Fraser wrote them from the Cartar, who is our grant administrator for this project with the EDA. Triangle Grading was our lowest bidder at 1.149 million. The total project budget is 1.314 million. And we do have a current shortfall of 138,000. To be able to move forward with the EDA grant, we need the approval from the board that the county will commit this funding if necessary.
Recommended we approve budget amendment number 9 to appropriate $138,390 as county contribution to fulfill funding.
Second.
Motion has been made by Commissioner Faines that we approve the budget amendment number 9. It's been properly seconded by Commissioner Brummett. Any discussion? All those in favor of approval of the budget amendment number 9? Any opposition? Motion carries.
The cleanup for former Vance Manor, Chairman Feebster instructed the staff to get quotes and clean up for county-owned land on the old Vance Manor site on Cherry Street. Staff received quotes and would like to proceed with Woodlift's Lawn Care for $2,900 for the brush and debris cutting and removal of up to 5 acres. To maintain it each year, which will be much cheaper, but there are funds in our contingency to cover this, and we would just like y'all to be aware of it. And then recommendations below for us to continue to work with Woodlifts.
Recommend authorize staff to work with Woodlift Lawn Care as presented.
Second.
The motion has been made by Commissioner Faines, seconded by Commissioner Austin, that we authorize staff to work with the lawn care to clean up the 5 acres that the county owns on County Farm Road, to clean up the excess debris and brush that has overgrown in that area. So all those in favor of the motion? Any opposition or discussion?
Yeah, just for clarification, it's not on Cherry Street, it's on.
County Home Road.
County Home Road, or Old County Home Road.
Okay.
That
excuse
is,
me.
it's on Old County Home Road.
Old County Home Road.
Old County Home Road, excuse me.
Motion carries.
We need a resolution approved, please, for Operation Greenlight. It's an initiative endorsed by the NCACC and the National Association of Counties and the National Association of County Veteran Service Officers that shows support to honor our military veterans. During Operation Greenlight, residents and businesses are asked to shine a green light on their buildings green from November 6th through November 12th as a way of letting veterans know that they are seen, appreciated, and supported. The resolution supports this effort which will include lighting the exterior lights at the Henry Dennis Building.
Recommended we approve resolution reporting Operation Green Light for veterans.
Second.
Okay, motion has been made by Commissioner Faines that we approve the resolution, seconded by Commissioner Austin. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Any opposition? By unanimous vote, motion carries.
Are we doing it on any other buildings other than the Henry Dennis?
Not that I'm aware of.
Do we have one?
Are we doing it on any other buildings except for the Dennis building?
So, if there are any other privately owned businesses that would like to participate, we would encourage them during this week. Veterans Day is Friday, so if they want to participate, they can by having a green light, flashing in their business in support of the veterans.
And if it's easily accomplished on any of our other buildings, I think I'd like to see it done there.
Me too.
I mean, it's just.
If you said any other buildings we own, I would agree. I'd like to see other buildings that we own.
The social services building, the signage now there, and if we can do it without a whole lot of, I know with LED lights and all, it gets complicated sometimes, but.
That's what I was gonna say. We can see if we can purchase some bulbs to make that happen this week.
All right, thank you.
All right. And then the final thing is our Eaton Johnson chiller pumps. There are 8 pumps and an air handler that needs to be replaced at Eaton Johnson that are over 35 years old. We did have this in this year's current budget, and the bid opening was Thursday on October 26th. 4 bids did come in. The lowest bid was Gupton Services for $221,000. At the time when we built our budget, we only budgeted $195,000 for this project to include engineering. At that time, it was sufficient, and now we need a little bit more to be able to complete this project. So it is budget amendment number 7.
What's a chiller pump?
Can you help me what a chiller pump is? It's part of the.
Cooling tower basically cools the system. When you go to the side of the building, there's a big thing, there's tubes, with water running down.
And there's 8 over there. This is for the main part of the building.
Recommended we approve budget amendment number 7 to appropriate necessary funds and to award the bid to Gupton Service.
Second.
The motion has been made by Commissioner Fain that we approve budget amendment number 7 to approve necessary funds and to award the bid to Gupton Services. It's been seconded by Commissioner Brummett. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any nays? By unanimous vote, it is so approved. Okay, next we have the county attorney's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This evening, we need to formally approve the county manager's contract. This is the same contract that we discussed in closed session. Did not come out and take any motion on that at the time, but tonight would be appropriate to formally approve that contract.
Madam Chair, I move we approve the county manager contract as presented at our work session.
Second.
The motion has been made by Commissioner Brummett that we approve the county manager contract. It's been properly seconded by Commissioner Fain. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposition? By unanimous vote, it is so approved.
Madam Chair, following with that approval of the contract, we also have before you this evening the resolution that we also discussed. See, we have listed here all of the positions that are not authorized to hire independently with short of this board. These are all, I worked with the HR director, and these are all department head levels, nothing below them. So for your consideration this evening, based on our conversations, this will authorize the county manager to hire all positions except for those listed in this resolution without prior support.
Madam Chair, I move we approve the resolution authorize the county manager to appoint county officers, employees, and agents pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 153A82.
Second.
Okay, motion has been made by Commissioner Brummett, seconded by Commissioner Austin. In discussion?
Yes, a little discussion here before we vote. Now, it's my understanding that this resolution allows the county manager to appoint all employees. while coming to this board? Is that my understanding?
No, sir, this,
Not right. That's not,
correct.
okay, tell us
this resolution allows the county manager to hire without prior approval of this board, all county employees for the positions that are not listed within this resolution.
which means that there are some positions that the county manager must come to this board.
Yes, that is correct. It's those positions listed in this resolution.
Okay, well, I want to go on record to say I disagree with that.
Okay.
That, and here are the reasons I disagree with it. I brought the county personnel policy with me. And the county personnel policy says in Article 1 here, Section 4, that the county manager shall appoint, suspend, and remove county employees except for those elected. The county manager shall make appointments, dismissal, and suspensions in accordance with the state statutes and others. So I'm not in favor of tying the county manager's hands in hiring personnel who will be working directly for the county manager and who the county manager will be writing their performance evaluation every year. And the county manager should have full authority to hire those people. Now, if the county manager has to come to us for approval of any personnel, first it flies in contravention of our policy, which is not even a year and a half old yet. We just made this policy about 14 months ago. And the second thing is the idea of the county manager having to come to us for approval says that what happens if the county manager once interviews 3 or 4 people and then has made a pick of those one of those 3 or 4 people, but must come to us? On what grounds would we deny the county manager the right to hire the person after they've interviewed 3 or 4 and made this is their choice? The person that they're going to write the performance evaluation on, and the county manager has the right to dismiss them according to our policy. And if the county manager decides to dismiss them, is that does they have to come back here to this board to get approval? I mean, we don't have any of this stuff listed out that's in contravention to what this policy says.
No, so this is only on the appointment. This is only conditioning the county manager's rights to hire or appoint someone into that position. It has nothing to do with the firing, suspension, or.
So this policy goes into effect. The right to hire is the right to fire. If I have the right to hire you, I also have the right to fire you if you're not living up to the expectations that I expect you to do.
Unless otherwise altered by state statute.
Or to dismiss or suspend or any of that stuff.
So all of that is unfettered. That's a unilateral right of the county manager. That is.
I'm sorry, say that again.
That is not changed. That is the county manager's right. Just the initial appointment, the initial hiring is subject to approval by this board because that's what the majority of
Let me
this
make
board.
sure I understand. Like, say she's gonna hire the HR director. What she does is seek approval from this board to hire that person, right? Is that what you're saying?
She chooses who she chooses.
She chooses what she chooses. But what I'm saying to Jonathan is that what if she's getting ready to hire a county HR person, then she gets approval from this board to hire that person, right? That's all we're saying, right? That's what this resolution said, right?
The HR director, that's correct.
That's what it says. She gets approval, not, she's gonna still interview whoever she wants to,
Yes.
hire whoever she wants to. But she says, I'm going to hire an HR director. I'm going to hire an HR director. She gets approval from us to do it, not necessarily the person she's going to put in the position.
No, it is the position.
It's the
So
position,
when-
not the person.
It is the person into that position. So prior to her being able to extend an official offer, this board will have to approve the hiring.
So if she's hiring me as HR director, she's got to get approved from the board to hire me.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, why would we want to tie the hands of the county manager to hire the people who we're going to the county manager is going to depend on to help them run this county? Because ultimately, if we don't like the way the county is being run by the county manager, based on the people they hire, we can get rid of the county manager based on that alone.
First of all, we're going on record, say we're not gonna tear her hands.
I'm the county manager. I want to be able to control who I have to hire to help
What he
me
just
run
said,
this
you
county.
don't turn the manager's hand.
We're not tying her
But if
hands.
she's
She can-
hiring, if she's gonna hire me as HR person, Leo Kelly, and she's gotta get approval from this board to hire Leo Kelly, you tied her hands.
we're not
You
tying-
telling her she can hire me or not hire me, right?
Right.
Correct.
That's what you're telling you. Either you can hire me or you don't hire me. If the board doesn't like me, she doesn't hire me.
We had a,
And on what basis would the board say no to somebody she wants to hire? On what basis, other than political, would the county say no to anybody she wants to hire after she's interviewed 3 or 4 people? And she says, I want to hire this person to head of this department. On what basis would you have to say no? Because that person's gone through a background check. She's done all of those other things that they go through. So on what basis would you say no to the county manager about hiring the person that they want?
For the person not qualified.
But she
And it
determines
passed
who's
with
qualified based on
background
the
always-
application, on the job description in the application. We don't determine who's qualified. She's gonna be managing and job performance for that person. We don't determine that.
Madam Chairman.
The
Mr. Perry,
application.
Mr. Perry, put you on the spot where you came from. Did you have the authority did you have to go before the board, Nor?
Well, in Halifax County, I wasn't the county manager, but
But-
no, she did not have to go before the board.
You didn't have to go before the board. She hired the
That's
person. right?
unusual.
Correct.
It's unusual.
We had, this, by the way, is consistent with general statute unless you pass a resolution of exception. We had a conversation with the manager this morning in our meeting. And this discussion is basically her being new to the community. We know more people around. And that being the case, then we would do that. At some point in the future, after she's got her feet on the ground, we may. The other part of it that was a concern was being able to do that and not hold up the process. And so we acknowledge that we may have to have a special call meeting or something to facilitate the hiring in a timely manner.
But I submit to you, Commissioner Brummett, that people are hired all across the country based on job descriptions, not on who knows who and what's going on in the county. If you have a job description out there and you find competent people who meet the conditions of that job description and you are satisfied with an interview, then you're allowed to hire that person if you're the department head, or in this case, the county manager.
We should tell it's sad that we live in a day. It's sad that
Tie
we
the
live in a
hands
day.
of the county manager and bring it to this board for approval.
It's sad that we live in a day that what you said is absolutely true in the hiring process. But it's sad that we live in a day that process is not being followed. That people are being chosen. I'm not putting that even on our county manager, which we are more than happy that we found a qualified county manager to lead this county. But it's sad to say that nowadays, it's not about the qualification or your skills. It's about who you know.
But
What
you're
we're
saying-
seeing in this day and time. And the job is not getting done. We're living in that time, and you know it to be. Because you can't say you haven't seen it. And this is not the first time we discussed it. We had a conversation not too long ago. Everybody that was in that meeting was in favor.
This is the third time we've had.
Yeah, so this is nothing new.
But what you're saying is, when you say they're hired people who are not qualified.
Yes, all around,
What you're saying is the board determines who's qualified, not the manager. And yet the manager is
Well-
responsible for running the county.
Well, we can say that we're gonna help
But
look at the back.
but Caroline,
I'm not in favor of this.
But Carol, I hear what you're saying. I
Let's
hear
do
what
this.
Commissioner Taylor is saying, but at the same time, you're bringing on a new county manager. If she knows the direction the board wants to go in, give her the authority to do that.
She has it.
You
She has
give-
that
you-
authority.
You give her the authority to do that. Don't let her have to bring every position to the board.
She's
You
not
mark-
bringing
You got 17 positions right here. I just got them. 17 positions. She has to come and get approval.
I'm in the middle.
17 positions. Those are her key. That's her key cabinet, you all. That's her
Okay, at
key
this
cabinet.
point in time,
That's
we
her
went
key
into
cabinet.
closed session. We had this discussion. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. So now we've had discussion. So now we're gonna call for a vote. Are there, any motions? Well, the motion was made, it was seconded, that we adopt the resolution.
Madam Chair, we're still in discussion stage.
I call for question.
No,
Let's say again.
I called for question.
We're not gonna sit here all night and go over the same thing that we.
No,
that
I'm
was
not going
resolved
over
last
this
week.
again, but I would just
Yeah.
want to,
But you
I
entitled
would
to
like
your
to say,
opinion and you can vote your opinion when you get ready to vote.
well, I'm gonna. vote
Everybody
my
got their
opinion.
own
I
opinion
just
and I
want to be
think,
on the record to say, I'm opposed to tying the hands of and limiting the county commission, county managers,
and you've already
ability.
said that and we've accepted
And
that.
that's where I am.
So you,
But
and that, you
there's one
entitled to your
there's
opinion.
one
We
other
get ready to
thing I
vote
wanna
right now.
There's one other thing I want to say,
Go ahead.
okay, before we close this discussion
Mhm.
down. I would like a motion to take this resolution and put it into the HR committee for consideration.
Madam Chair, I've already called for questions, point of order.
Okay, at this time, we're gonna have a vote. All those in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Any of opposition?
No,
Okay, so how many, you wanna do a line?
Roll call vote, Madam Chair.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say. Starting with Mr. Taylor.
no,
Yes. Aye.
Yes,
Yes.
No.
4-3. Motion carries.
Can I ask a question, motion here? Will that be revisited?
Yes, it will.
Okay.
And we, that's what Mr. Brumman said. We discussed that with the county manager this morning. Now we have the consent agenda on the docket, number 10. Any motions?
Madam Chair, I move for approval of consent agenda.
Motion has been made that we approve the consent agenda. It's been properly seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? By unanimous vote, the consent agenda is approved. Next, number 11, Ms. Grissom, is with you.
We have appointments for the month of the Vance County Zoning Board of Adjustments, reappoint Thomas Shaw, Mitch Wyatt, Ruth Jones, Phyllis Steinbeck, and Alvin Johnson. And an application was received from Catherine Hughes to fill a vacant position for the Tourism Development Authority. And this is for the tourism promotion position.
Madam Chair, I move we approve all appointments as stated by Ms. Grissom.
Second.
Motion has been made, properly seconded. Any discussion about the appointments to either the tourism board or the zoning board? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries, so all appointments are approved by the board.
Adjourn, Madam Chair.
Motion has been made that we adjourn. It's been properly seconded. We're now adjourned.